Mr. Jack Blood.
Hell of a job there, Richard. How do I follow that? Why do they always put me on after Richard Gage and Stephen Jones and Webster Tarpley? They're trying to challenge me, I think. Well, I'm going to challenge you a little bit as we talk, and I want to adjust this mic. I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and you know what all this means to me in just a second. Willie Rodriguez, folks. First of all, I gotta say, standing outside and looking at that reader board and knowing that next week there's going to be a gun show here, thanks to the Second Amendment, and this week, and thank you, this week we have 9/11, wars, and Constitution. I want to know what people think. I mean, can we stop these people on the road and go, did you notice what that sign said? Do you understand what's going on in here? It's been almost 9 years, and still most Americans can't get their heads around, can't conceive, can't understand, refuse to understand, or flat out don't care what happened on the morning of 9/11 and subsequently afterwards. I am a person who did music talk, radio, that kind of a format until the 2000 election that was flat out stolen from the American people, from the voters. Not that we could have done any better with Al Gore. I'm not a big fan. Al Gore. Did he ever find that lockbox? No, they raided the lockbox. They all would have done it. But just the travesty of justice in stealing that election from the people really shook me to my core. And I started doing a news talk radio show where we've interviewed, you know, experts and politicians and pundits and Council on Foreign Relations scum and put them in the hot seat. But something funny happened on 9/11, and that's why we're here today, which radically changed my life, my commitment, my priorities. As I've heard Glenda Beck say recently, if you really think 9/11 was an inside job, you really think that elements within our government did 9/11, wouldn't this be your number one issue? Yes. So here we are, and I can't thank Betsy enough for putting this together, all the speakers. I mean, when you've got Cindy Sheehan and Richard Gage and Bob McIlvaine, these family members, the first responders, all of these experts, filmmakers, artists, and you, all under one roof, it really shows that this still is a driving issue. And I hope that when you leave here, you'll take something home so that we can move this forward, because this conference is called Treason in America. And you remember the book, None Dare Call It Treason. I've named my talk here tonight, We the People Dare Call This Treason. Now I have sifted through the evidence, again having Richard Gage and Stephen Jones and all of the experts I could get my hands on for years and years and years. I've come to a conclusion here a little while ago. We've got the evidence. We can keep researching, we can keep adding, we can keep clarifying, we could find a way to make it more palatable to Americans who can't, again, understand that people could be this evil, this deceptive, this criminal, this murderous, and do this to their own citizens. Oh, it's okay when we're holding false flag events across the country somewhere, across the world somewhere where people don't look like us, don't believe in the things we believe in. The people, of course, that were blamed for what happened on 9/11. A lot of people hadn't heard, and I covered this on my show, and I wish I could remember the gentleman who tried to get FOIA requests, and found out what Donald Rumsfeld was saying on the lawn of the Pentagon, which, by the way, was remarkably unscathed. They got the FOIA request back, and the exact terminology as Rumsfeld is talking to Steve Cambone, who's going to go talk to Richard Myers, is sweep it all up, go massive, blame it on Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, whether real or promulgated. In other words, we don't care who did it. we're going to blame these guys. And I have to believe, after reading the Project for New American Century document, where they literally call for a new Pearl Harbor so that they can expand into these tactical preemptive war fronts, that without that we wouldn't be in those wars. But I believe because of that, and because this had to have been planned in a lot higher degree than the terrorists in a cave in Afghanistan somewhere, and I know that sounds trite, but that's close to what we're looking at here, that I have to believe, well, that this was the plan all along. So it wasn't that Rumsfeld was thinking, hey, here's a good opportunity, as Rambo Emmanuel has often says, never waste a good crisis. No, they planned the crisis so that they could blame the patsies, so that they can create what I believe is, in a sense, a fear-based mind control to control the American people and the people of the world, because they've got big plans. It's not just to take your rights. It's not just to steal your money. By the way, the economic 9/11 was an inside job. They did it because they want your hearts and minds. What are they always saying about the winning the war on terror? Well, we've got to win their hearts and minds. And that's exactly what they're trying to do to the American people through fear, through oppression. You're not even allowed to think about the things we talk about in these rooms. You're not allowed to talk about it in public. Not anymore. You see, now people do understand that this is a possibility. People have looked into this. They've seen the evidence. They understand the mentality of governments. As Bill Hicks once famously said, the great comedian, late great comedian, all governments are liars and murderers. We need to understand that and do that going forward. Otherwise, this repeats itself over and over and over again. So as the people are crippled by fear, they give their rights up. They give up their property. They give up their freedom. I thought it was the terrorists out there that were trying to kill us for our freedoms. Meanwhile, these people are stealing our freedoms. In fact, everything that Osama bin Laden tactically said he wanted, he got because of 9/11. Not because he did something, because that is what Bush and Cheney and now Obama are making happen. And they've got to be, I assume they've got to be somewhat amused by all of this. Wow, guess we should have done that. I guess we should have hijacked airplanes and flown them into buildings and done all of this all on our own, because look what we created, look what we could have done. Good job, George. Dick. By the way, did you know that George had little nicknames for everybody? George W. His nickname for Dick Cheney was Tater. Dictator, that's right. Yeah, he knew. What did he say when he was running for office? I don't mind if there's a dictator, as long as I'm the dictator. And now we've got cousin Barry Obama, the dictator. Cousin Barry Obama. Why do I call him that? He's cousins with Dick Cheney. Cousins with George Bush. Cousins with Warren Buffett, who, by the way, didn't do so bad in the economic 9/11. The Rothschild banking family didn't do so bad. These are the people that have capitalized on it. That money goes somewhere. It doesn't just disappear into a hole and turn into molten lava at the bottom of the World Trade Center towers. That money goes somewhere.